Hey everybody, welcome to another CFLNet video. Again, all these videos are sponsored by my company, CFLNet. So if you have any business IT needs, go ahead and take a look at our website and schedule a consultation if you would like, and we will get you started. With that out of the way, this video is going to be on Windows updates. Now, I know this is a controversial issue, and it tends to have the stigma of it just breaks everything, which isn't necessarily true. It does break things every once in a while, but I believe that the risk of it breaking something outweighs the risk of not doing the updates, because with new updates, you get a lot of security patches, first of all, but you also get updates to other background stuff like .NET Framework and things like that new programs are going to need. And sometimes programs just stop working if you don't have the right updates. Granted, they do stop working if you get the wrong updates as well, but we'll show you how to countermand that, just to kind of make sure you don't have any kind of issues with that in the future. So basically, first things first, backups. You should always have a backup. I will do a video on those later, so keep watching back on that. But if you don't have a backup, at the bare minimum, which you should have both, at the bare minimum, you would want the recovery options set up. So if we go to recovery in the control panel, and then we want to configure system restore. This user is an admin user, apparently. Okay, so in here, the biggest thing you want to look at is right here, the protection. You want to make sure the protection is set to on. If it's set to off, click configure and then turn it on. By default, I think it uses 10 gigs. You can give it a little bit more space. Like you can see the current usage is 4.76 because it's done a couple restore points. So, I mean, I give it a little bit more. Some of the updates can be fairly big, so you want to do a little bit more, but you don't want to use up all your space on your drive either. So we're just going to leave it like that for now. And then that's it. Once that's on, what you want to do is, you could, okay, actually, let me go back to that. So from here also, before I move on, actually, I want to show you can create a restore point here. So at any point in time, you can actually create that restore point if you're afraid what you're about to do may cause any issues. Restore points aren't great. They're good, they're not great. A backup is great, especially an image backup. I know it takes up a lot of space and it takes up a lot of time, but an image backup is the best. Some systems will do some backup systems, which again I will go into later in another video, but some of them will do an image backup and then incremental backups to that image, so that it's not a huge backup every time, and when you restore it, it's your computer back to as if it was before it crashed or whatever happened. The key thing to keep in mind here is that restore is not the save all. You want backups also. But anyway, if you want to create a restore point, you can click restore. You can name it whatever, or create rather, and then you can name it whatever you want. You don't necessarily have to do that before Windows updates. Just make sure it's on. Now, when you go to Windows updates, the reason you don't have to make sure create one before you do Windows updates is because the Windows updates will actually do it for you before it applies the update. So as you saw, in order to start the Windows updates, all you do is check for updates, and that's really it for doing Windows updates. But when it installs, before it installs, it usually creates a restore point if the install is going to cause any issues at all, or if it has potential of creating issues. If it's just a minor update, I don't believe it creates a restore point for every single one. You can pause updates if you don't want to do that. You got different options here. Change the active hours. Active hours is kind of neat. You can turn it on, and basically what it does is it automatically adjusts the active hours. So let's turn it on, see what happens. So it says right up here, basically, I thought you could set the time. I have to go back and check where you set the time, but oh, there we go. Change active hours. So what it does is basically it won't automatically restart your computer. So if there's updates and your settings are set to automatically restart the computer when the update's downloaded and installed, this won't actually reboot the computer while you're using it, or at least between 8 to 5, because if you're, whatever time you set, if you work 8 to 5, that's what you want it set at. If you're not going to be on the computer at another time, you can change it to that. Or change it to a time that you are going to be using the computer actively. Then that way it doesn't automatically restart in the event that the update needs to restart. In most cases, by default, it's set to just basically alert you. So we can go here, receive updates from other Microsoft products. That's like if you want to make sure you get Office updates. Updates metered, download updates over metered connection. So this is good if it's a laptop that you take out with like a hotspot or something. You want to make sure that's turned off. Otherwise, it could download huge updates and use up all your data. Restart the device as soon as possible when a restart is required. So this is what that office hours, or what was it? This is what the active hours is for. So when you go to over here and say you do set it to restart automatically, it won't do it during the active hours if the active hours is also turned on. And then show update notification to your PC when it requires a restart and updating the finish. So basically, if we turn that on, if it needs to restart, it'll pop up and give the user options to restart. You can also pause the updates till a certain time. And that's really it. Windows updates aren't super complicated. You really shouldn't be scared of them, especially if you're running a backup. If you have system restore, that's one thing. But if you're running a backup, then you're doubly set. That is the key thing, is to make sure you have a backup going, which again we'll go over in a later video. But yeah, this is a quick video. I don't have any updates to show you, unfortunately, because this virtual machine's already been updated a few times. It did run a couple earlier, but it didn't ask me to restart. Keep in mind, when there's big updates, you're not really going to know which ones are big, so unless you've researched it. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have time, right? So if you get a pop-up that says, hey, you need to restart your computer to apply these updates, make sure that you have time for those updates to go through, because they could take a very long time. There's some updates that have in the past taken upwards of an hour or more to go through. Now, they're not normal updates. They're usually really big updates, but so they're not going to happen often. But you do want to make sure that you have time. The best is to do it when you're leaving for the day, or when you're done for the day. Like if you're leaving your office and you hit restart, then, or another time that you're not going to be around the computer. Lunchtime is okay, but you never know. You could come back from lunch and not be done. However, I will say that in most cases in business, your updates are being handled by the system administrator or by the server previously set up, and that tells you when to do updates. That'll tell each computer not to update unless it's during these certain times and things like that. So depending on how your office is set up, you may have to leave your computers on overnight. That's another thing you want to check with your system administrator. Is if your computers aren't getting updates, it's probably because that time frame is set to not happen during the day, but then you're shutting the computers off at night. So you really want to check into that, because again, Windows updates are very important. Yes, they can break things, but the reason you hear complaints about Windows updates breaking things is because that's something people see. What they're fixing are things that you don't necessarily see, like security holes in the operating system, or or some kind of flaw that you don't work with every single day, those updates will fix those, and you don't even see those. So a lot of times you don't hear anything good about Windows updates. You only hear the bad stuff because they only see what's broken. But yeah, so that's it. Nice quick video. Kind of rambled on for a little bit there, but if you have any questions or concerns, go ahead and throw your comments down below. I'll leave a link to the website in case you have any business IT needs. You can go over there and schedule your free evaluation, which will, come out to your site and take a look and see what we could do for you. If you have any immediate concerns, we can handle them then or whenever you want. So yeah, that's it. And thanks for watching.